Welcome back to another edition of the Witsup Weekly Grind. I feel like I need to change that little intro when I say welcome back because that's exactly how I introduce each podcast, and I'm going to get myself a bit confused. So I need a quick little re-intro. So if anyone's got any ideas, let me know. I also realised that we've got the heater on here. And I've got a beanie and a jumper on, and I'm already starting to heat up, and it's not even 2 minutes into the show. So let's see how we go. Might be putting on a strip show throughout the show. As usual, please let me know. Can you hear me a-okay? Could you hear the intro okay? If you're watching on YouTube or on Facebook, please just leave me a comment before we get cracking on with the actual show. Plenty of things to talk about today. There was some exciting racing over the weekend, whether it be at Ironman Cairns or over at the World Triathlon Series race in Leeds, which is plenty to talk about there, and Sid will cover that in Sid Slam as well. Lots and lots of things happening. Nadine has just said, yep, she can hear us a-okay. Fantastic. Thank you so much. So to let you know, when we teed up this show, I asked Tammy Barker to be our special correspondent over in Cairns. She is, if you don't know who Tammy is, she is the professional triathlete liaison for Ironman Asia Pacific, or Ironman Oceania, I should say. She also is a commentator. So if you have raced across Australia or New Zealand, you've probably heard her throughout the weekend, whether it be pre-race or at the actual race as well. I know she works really well with the crew in New Zealand as well as the crew here in Australia. She knows the athletes because she deals with them at every single race, and I wanted to bring her onto the show so that she could give us a bit of a rundown from her point of view as to how things happened during the race yesterday. Also, a little bit sneaky, I knew we'd have her on the ground there and she would be able to wrangle whoever won yesterday. And that person was Kylie Simpson, and she has managed to wrangle her up. I'm sure she's had a pretty busy day after a big event yesterday, but I know that they are sitting in the hotel room waiting for me to give them a call so we can cross live and have a chat about Ironman Cairns and Kylie's phenomenal race. So that leads me, I think that's Jordan who's just tuned in, has said that she can hear me fine as well, which is fantastic. Thank you very, very much. All right, folks, we are going to give Tammy Barker a call and see what she's got going on in Cairns. Let's check it out. Let's hope this worked. We had a few tech issues, so hopefully we are good. It's ringing. Someone has picked up. We're just waiting for Tammy to pop up onto the screen. Just give it just a few seconds, and I'm sure we'll see her any moment now. Just give us a second, Tammy. I'm not sure what's happening. I think there you are.
I would say good morning, but good afternoon.
It is. It's a great afternoon. How are you? Tammy, I've already done a bit of an intro, but before we get stuck into how you are and everything, you are the pro, now correct me if I'm wrong, the pro athlete liaison for Ironman Oceania.
I am.
You are also a race commentator who commentates across Australia and New Zealand.
I am.
And this is a very special event for you because you're actually a Cairns local. So you have been doing a lot of media for months and months and months leading into this event.
So my correct title for that third role that you're mentioning is the Community Relations Manager, Officer, Community Relations Person. Yeah, Steph. And that's one that I'm so proud of. Obviously the 10th anniversary of our race, and I've been involved in every single one of the events when it's been in Cairns. So yes, a very big role, and more so like communicating with the locals and the stakeholders in the region about the road closures and the effects to the event.
And I mean, the major partner is the Cairns airport, right? So like that's a huge partner. Clearly, Ironman Cairns is very much about it being a destination race as well. It's all about tourism and trying to inject more tourism into that area.
Absolutely. So when the event first came to town and they had the concept of it, we didn't have a specific major event that was recognised as a major event. And so when we were able to get the Cairns airport on as a naming right partner, it was such a coup for the managers and the people that got that back in the day. But it's huge. What it's done for the region and how long it's been here for, it's been incredible. And it does. It basically, our tourism season used to start kind of that end of June. So they brought the event to be at the beginning of June to stretch out the shoulder season and get more people to the region at the beginning. And it really has done that.
Yeah. And do you find a lot of athletes do spend a bit of extra time there going holidaying up in Port Douglas and so forth?
Absolutely. And you know what? This is one thing. It comes up often that people say, oh, we don't see people come to Port Douglas and stay, but it happens. Maddie White, ex-pro Maddie White, him and his wife and the two girls actually came to Cairns 1 week before and they stayed in Port Douglas for the whole week. I know a handful of athletes, like Amelia Watkinson's actually staying on for almost a week after this race.
Oh,
a lot of athletes in the age group as well, they all stay around the region. So it really does hit that goal and that KPI.
Yeah, right. And back to your first title that I mentioned, Pro Athlete Liaison, I've always been interested. There's got to be some painful athletes. I want to know who's the most painful and who's your favourite.
Do you know what? When you briefed me on this, I thought, I bet she's going to ask that question. And look, I've been the Pro Athlete Liaison for at least since 2013, I think, maybe even 2012, 2013. And yeah, there are. I'm not going to lie. There actually are, but I'm not allowed. Well, not that I'm not allowed, but I'm not going to say it.
Yeah.
Thankfully, there's more that aren't. But over my years, I've probably had, in all honesty, 4 people that I haven't enjoyed working with. And I probably shouldn't say that, but that in all honesty, there are. But on the flip side of that, it's such a rewarding job, and there are so many more athletes that are exceptional to work with.
Yes. I'm sure that it's a small percentage, but
each to their own. I'm sure many think that I'm painful, but one thing I always say, and I've said it very much, it's one thing to be professional on the course, but to be a professional off the course is it just your career goes in leaps and bounds when that's the case.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. It's more than just what you do on the race course. On many different layers, there's so much more to this sport for being a professional. And speaking of professionals, I'm going to throw this to you because you were doing it probably all day yesterday, calling people across the line. And I know we've got footage of it. You did call this athlete across the line yesterday as well. Would you like to introduce the person who you've got just waiting in the wings in the green room?
Absolutely. It is with great pleasure, and it's such an honour to announce to you the 2021 Cairns Airport Ironman Asia Pacific Champion, our female champion, Kylie Simpson.
Woo!
Wow! Again, hi, Steph.
Kylie, I am going to throw it to Tammy because I'm going to let her ask you a few questions, and she's probably going to double up on the questions you got asked yesterday as well. But from me personally and from Team Witsup, I just wanted to say a massive congratulations. It was, great. It was, I couldn't be there, but we had so many people feeding us information. And when I saw you were basically 19 and a bit minutes down off the bike, we were like, ooh, that's going to be a tall order. But she did 2:57 last year. This is going to be close. So I want to thank you for making it such an entertaining and exciting race. So thank you.
Thank you.
Tammy, I'm going to throw it to you and I'm going to let you start asking some questions and I'll pipe down for a little bit because I would love to hear what you guys have to say.
And please interject with this. First of all, I want to say, Steph, I noticed you guys had great coverage yesterday on Witsup, and you filmed me when I did my post-race interview on the finish line with Kylie. And I may have asked what your viewers think is a stupid question, but the question was, did you expect to win the championship race?
And you said, of course. Or I said, no, did you come here to win? And you said, yes, of course. Now, people might think that that was a stupid question that I asked you, but in my profession as a commentator and as a professional athlete liaison, I have worked with athletes, and they come here to do their best, but they don't often come here to potentially win, or they don't think they're going to win. So it's not that I doubted that you couldn't have won, so I didn't mean that to be a stupid question.
No.
But I love that you said, yes, you came here to win, so that was always a goal of yours.
Yes, that was the plan. I think that's what I said to you. Yeah, certainly was the plan. I knew that I'd have to run hard. I knew that I'd have to run faster than I did last year, and I'd have to bike harder. Didn't think I'd come that far out behind on the swim.
Yes.
The conditions yesterday were not suited to me. We all know that that's not my strong suit. So it as soon as I got out of the water, I knew I had to go.
And so from that moment, like, did you hit that cycle course? You've obviously, first, as we know, 4th place last year for 2020, but you knew you had the groundwork that you needed to do to catch up to those top girls.
Yes.
Were you feeling more confident when you got back into T2, or was it, like, at which stage of the race or in the marathon did you think, okay, I'm getting there, I'm chipping in, I'm closer?
Yeah, I was chipping away the whole way on the run. Obviously, it wasn't until I got in the lead, though, that I felt a little more comfortable. I thought, okay, I can, we're there. Now I need to maintain this.
Steph,
you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, and wasn't it? It was such an exciting female race for that exact point.
Yeah, we always talk about in the world of iron distance racing that the race doesn't start till 32K. That's when we really start to see either wheels fall off or, those sort of changes towards the end of the race. And that is pretty much textbook what happened. Like, that's when, do you know exactly when you passed? Because from the details we were receiving, it looked like you were going to catch Amelia and Chloe pretty much within like 20 seconds, and it would just be a complete change of positions.
Yeah, it was. We were going through the first aid station on the last lap back out, and it was it's probably under 20 seconds. Like it felt like I went past them within like 10 seconds, both of them.
Wow. From where I was yesterday, obviously commentating, we did have our female spotter there. I know, Steph, unfortunately you couldn't have made it up, but it was really hard at one stage because they were stuck in these really bad reception modes. So we unfortunately were not getting the female updates. Our female spotter was trying her hardest, but whether it be the sort of phone that she had and the reception she was, it just was not coming in. So forgetting that, girls got off the bike, right? And then we're in the Esplanade, we got better reception. But for me, from a commentary point of view, I kept getting on, having a look at the tracker. The tracker's changed. Getting on, looking at the spotter's notes. The spotter are different, I was just like, holy shit, I can't keep up with this race. I was on, we were honestly on our toes the whole time. And then all of a sudden you just come out of nowhere, and then you just kept going and going and going. And it was it was so exciting. And we've had some big races here in Cairns, and we've had some big pro fields in the female field and so forth. But, that was it was probably one of the most exciting female races I can honestly say I've seen in a while. So well done. Thank you.
I want to, and we're going to talk about that ridiculous marathon. A 2:53 is just absolutely smoking, and a new run course record. Just incredible. But before we jump onto that, I want to note, last year you did a 5:17 bike split, and this year you did a 4:58 bike split, that's a humongous improvement. And I feel like when you've got it like a sub 3 hour marathon in you, that's what people talk about, and it's incredible. Don't get me wrong, but if you didn't have that, that's a pretty solid bike ride there. Your bike has improved out of sight as well.
Yes. Yeah, I think a lot of people do get stuck on because I can run fast, I get stuck on that run time. But for me, I certainly, I think the bike was, I'm most happy with the bike because there's been a lot of improvement there. We've been doing a lot of work on the bike.
And so let's talk about the we. I love that you say we, you and
Cam.
Cam, obviously. Cam was so proud. Steph, I'm not sure if you saw, but Pete interviewed Cam on the finish line. And he was so proud, and to say that he was standing there and his top, you know, the 3 female podium girls were all his athletes. It was such a proud moment for him. So going back to that, how long have you been working? Let us all know again, remind us how long you've been working with Cam and what's been going into that training to get your strengths even stronger.
So I joined Cam just before they all went over to Europe in 2019. So it would have been in probably May. And I stayed here, and they all left, and I stayed here and just did the training as I was told. And yeah, so what's that? That's 2 years that I've been with Cam now. Yeah, and we've just been chipping away, just doing the work. Nothing exciting, nothing groundbreaking. Just lots of training.
I remember when I first met Cam when he came over to Ironman WA one year with David Dello, because I think that they were good and maybe still are really good friends, and kind of heard all about Cam, and then all of a sudden he just blew up in the world of coaching. What's he like as a coach? I've always been interested to know that.
He's brilliant. Yeah, and obviously look at the results from the weekend. And he had Romy Wollstonecroft, who won their 70.3 for the girls, one of our juniors in the squad. It's an individual program that he does for us, so it's not a one size fits all. It's very much suited to that person and works on where your weaknesses are, what are your strengths, and it's fun working with Cam. I enjoy it.
Good. I love that.
Yeah, and I feel like the more we speak to women, the more that enjoyment has to be a part of what they're doing to be successful, and that's a kind of a common theme when we're talking to the pro women. And it seems like you're happy in that environment, and it's paying dividends. And I don't know. I mean, I only really started knowing about you, it would have been this time last year, Sunny Coast and Ironman Cairns. And then in that 12 months, or less than 12 months, because Cairns was, a little bit later, September last year, that you've clearly been... what I'm trying to say is people talk about overnight success, but it's not overnight, because you've obviously been ticking away for a long time, and it's that consistency and that commitment to consistency which gives you the results that you got yesterday. And we often refer to race day being the victory lap, and that was evident.
Yeah. And definitely not overnight.
Isn't that crazy? That concept is like, imagine if you could go and win an Ironman like literally in a day. Like that whole overnight, one day of training, and overnight you're an Asia Pacific champion. Wow. Steph, one thing I want to bring up is Kylie and I had a really great chat. We did an interview in Expo on Saturday, I think it was. Yeah. In Saturday in our Expo here, and I was talking to Kylie and talking about like the female field, and I knew that you trained with quite a few of the other females there, and it's something we talk a lot about that to females is, how do you go into a race and your competition, do you know your tactics, how do you prepare around that? And one thing I clearly remember that you said, I'm here, I'm happy to be here, but I'm ready to do my own race. Yeah. And I'm clearly focused on that. And that really stood out to me when you crossed that finish line, because I thought you stuck to your guns, you obviously stuck to your your race plan, and you believed in yourself. And then, maybe there are a lot of people behind the scenes like, wow, we knew she was a runner, but what the hell? And we knew she got 4th in Cairns, and she'd done Husky and all these other races through the year. But wow, but no, you believed, you stuck to it, you executed it, and you won the race. Yeah. I love that.
And speaking of that, can we break it down? Obviously you said that you were happy with the bike, and I mean a 253, whatever, piece of cake. But in terms of what your plan was, I mean, I noticed that and you mentioned this as well, your swim was a little bit slower than last year. But in terms of breaking down what your goals were and sticking to those numbers and so forth, can you break that down per discipline?
So the swim for me obviously is where, it's my weakest link, if you want to say, out of the 3. And so I know that I need to just stay calm, whatever happens in the swim, whatever the conditions are. We're all swimming. We're all swimming. If it's rough, if it's nice, then everyone gets a benefit from that. So we're all either struggling or going really well in that. So for me, it's just about staying calm and just get out as quickly as I can, and then I don't really alter the bike or the run plan for what has happened in the swim. They stay the same. We just chip away at that. So I get on the bike and I do a lot of eating, a lot of drinking, which we all do. So the swim doesn't really affect what I do on the bike or the run.
Interesting. Steph, I know I read, maybe it was I read some of your comments, and there was a comment on Witsup Instagram, and it said something like, you don't win an Ironman from a swim or something like that. And I just thought that's, we've heard that a lot. And I mean, you can obviously, but it's what happens, like you said, in that last part of the race. And we talked about that a lot with the commentary yesterday. And you certainly
I came out last.
That's right. Yeah, you were like 19 minutes behind Rebecca Clark.
The last bike in transition.
And this is the hardest. This is where honestly, as commentators, you get smashed right online, because quite often the action is at the front.
Sure.
So if someone's coming out of the swim last, yes, you might mention them, but there's all this stuff that's happening ahead. So you'll talk about this. But then all of a sudden, the lady that come out last and then powering through on the bike and then smashing through on the run, you're getting talked about like that. That's what happens. So, that's just defending us commentators when we don't always talk about people at the end of at that part of it,
Yeah.
But, that run. Now, I want to ask Kylie a question. Cairns were a 4-lap run course here for our Ironman Cairns race. Talk to me about, I heard a lot of good things. Actually, I'm not going to name the male pro, but maybe I should. But I spoke, actually, Renee Kylie, I looked at her Instagram as well today, and she said how incredible the support was on the run. And one of the male pros said, man, I was ready to go. I wanted to pull out of that run. But the support on course was phenomenal, 4 laps. And he said, I had to stick at it. I had to keep doing. And Renee talked about the same. So how did you feel that?
Definitely the same. And even from last year, I loved it. But there was so much more support this year than there was last year. And so I didn't find that there was any section on there that you kind of get a bit lost or that you couldn't pull out or you get lonely or because, there was people there. So the support on the course was amazing yesterday. It was really good.
I love that's a little bit extra.
Absolutely. It makes a big difference.
And can you believe that you ran down that chute? And for me, Steph, it's a big thing, and I know that you'll appreciate this, but quite often it's the time of the day. There's always a lot of people at that finish line for the men's finish, and it's exceptional. But it really pisses me off when there's not the same amount of women, supporters and spectators for the women. And quite often they've dispersed or something. So I always do my best, and so does Pete, to really bring the crowd and make sure. And we got it. We had that crowd support. But how did you feel running down?
It was amazing.
And to know that you're the Asia Pacific champion.
Yeah, it was really special.
Yeah. And she was saying before, she had a lovely little phone call with one of our past Asia Pacific champions, a very close friend, this morning.
I bet I guess who that is. Is that Sarah Crowley potentially?
Yes, it was. Yeah.
She was happy for you. Very happy.
Absolutely. Yeah. She was just about to go for a swim in a beautiful lake in Utah somewhere.
Oh,
so yeah.
Oh,
It was really nice. We had a good catch up.
She would have been so proud of you.
Yeah, she was.
And what about your coach? You seen your coach this morning or last night?
Last night, not this morning.
What did he say last night to you?
That he was very proud.
Yeah.
Man of so many words.
Yeah. Surely, did he say anything else that you can give away?
Actually, so I've got a random question for you. In triathlon, I guess any kind of sport when you're out in the sun all day, we've always used to say, don't wear black, it's too hot. The top 3 women were all in full head to toe black. So it's bullshit, right?
Just throw that out the window. Don't they say don't wear white as well sometimes?
I think that's for a different reason.
That's right,
That suit is actually one of Sarah's old suits.
I was going to say. So this was my next question is I imagine, and sorry, I don't mean this offensively, but I know that in terms of being in the pro game, you're still relatively new. So you're probably looking for sponsors. We've got another Ironman Cairns champion, and I'm looking back at Teresa Adam, who rocked up down the finishing line with just a black 2XU suit. And you're similar, because I don't believe you're sponsored by Ryzen and Canyon and Oakley.
She's available.
Exactly.
None of those sponsors
Do you need a manager? She needs a manager.
So they are all Sarah's sponsors, and I'm just wearing the suit.
Yeah.
They got a free ride, very free ride yesterday.
Yes, she looks the part. Well, there you go. That's an interesting point. And like, you're right about Teresa. She was also wearing black the first year that she won Ironman Cairns. People kind of went, wow, where did this woman come from? And then, look at Teresa now when she races. She's fully kitted out. She's part of the team, and she's got a great group of sponsors. So it's incredible what can happen within a short amount of time with a great amount of talent. So that's a good point.
Absolutely. Hey, we've got a couple of questions from our followers, if you don't mind. A couple of people super interested to find out what is next. We did hear at the finishing line, we called it on video, what the next big one will be. But I'm just going to flat out ask you, Kona, ?
Yes, definitely.
Woo!
Congratulations. So you accepted your spot today?
I did this morning, yes. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
That's exciting. And so, and what did Cam say to you last night?
That we're going to Hawaii.
So you had no choice. You looked at your last night and said, yeah, that's it. And, that was really interesting. Obviously, we had 2 slots available for this race, so the females. I did know that Amelia had hers from last year. So I did ask Chloe if she would be going when I interviewed her, and she basically said, I don't know. That's how she reacted. So I wouldn't have assumed. I haven't looked into it any further today. But yeah, it's interesting. So first time to Kona, that's exciting. How are you? I know that's a long way. Well, it's in October. It's a bit of ways ahead. Does it excite you, the thought to go and race?
Yes, absolutely.
Of course.
Yeah. Wow. I think that's every professional triathlete's goal, isn't it?
To go
race in Kona.
That's it. Kona, Rock, the 2 big key pinnacle races. I think every professional athlete wants to tick those races off and be there. Definitely. But obviously, Steph, and Kylie, Kona, Roth, the big races that we know them, it's not as easy. It's not like you can just jump on a plane easy and go now. So you're going to have to go through the process of, getting out of the country, looking at flights. Are they affordable? How will I get back into the country? With that comes a little bit daunting kind of thoughts, I'm sure.
Yeah, so I suppose the next couple of weeks we'll work out what that looks like, what we need to do to get all those travel exemptions and things sorted out.
At least you've got a few people on your team who have done that. You've got Sarah and Amelia and Renee. They all know how to. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I'll definitely be leaning on them for some advice. Yeah.
I would really like to know is what's the big goal? It's obviously been a rough couple of 18 months with COVID, pandemic, lockdowns, border closures, all those kind of things. So it's not a traditional year in the life of a professional triathlete or anyone on the planet. But as things start to sort of go back to normal, what does the future sort of 12 months, obviously kind of, what does the next 12 months look like for you as a pro athlete? What's the goal? What's the dream?
Well, I suppose we'll do Kona with whatever travel exemptions, etc. around that, and I haven't really thought too much further past that. I probably come back home and do some of the races back here, maybe Bustleton, and then come back to Cairns next year.
Yes.
And I don't know. I honestly don't know what we'll do towards the end of this year, early next year, whether we go away again. It'll depend on where we can go, what we can get to. Yeah, but definitely this race as much as we can will be the plan.
Amazing.
Wherever we can.
Yeah, exactly. You got to do it while you can. That's for sure. So this race, Kona, then Busto, that's 3 full distances. Whew.
Yep. We'll see. I'm saying to her, we'll see how you go.
Yeah.
It is interesting, isn't it? And it's one of those things, even with kind of what I've seen in my professional athlete liaison role, is that, you know, sometimes athletes will come out of Kona and feel really good and then want to come straight in and race Busso, or they haven't had the Kona race that they were hoping for. They still feel well enough to race, and they come to Busso and they smash it.
Yeah.
So it's Busselton's a really interesting race from that pro side. But as far as you've got that like October, and then you've got that in November in Australia at least. And
that was
what can happen.
That's kind of the
your
thought
idea
at the moment.
Yeah, and you know, the other thing to come, as I said to Kylie this morning, to come back to Cairns as the past champion is a really good race to come back to. There's always a lot of good media around it. There's a lot of good engagement. You know, we try to send our past champions out, like go for a trip to the reef or do some fun things. So there can be some lovely perks to that. So, I mean, I appreciate that some athletes don't like to come back necessarily to the same race, or if that race particularly doesn't suit them, they will choose another race even though they've won that one. But if you like that race and you like racing in the heat, you like the conditions, you like the course, I always highly encourage you to try to come back and do that race, unless, of course, you've got, you know, you want to go to Europe and do a race that's similar time. I know Roth, you know, that's the thing with the time around Roth, all the athletes kind of go, I don't really, you know, I've done Cairns a couple of times, I want to go to Roth, so the time doesn't work out. And I understand that. It's like going to Ironman Frankfurt, you know, you sort of have to time within your schedule. You know, we missed some athletes. Braden didn't come back to Cairns this year. He raced New Zealand because it was postponed. He's going over to Europe and so forth. So, but we'd love to have you back in Cairns. So you're always invited.
That was Tammy's roundabout way of saying, are you coming back to defend your title?
No. She's definitely coming back. I'm not chatting today. Can I just touch on this funny little story, the whole black suit? We had a situation last year with Sarah, because Sarah and Amelia had similar suits, I think. They were both, because Sarah usually races in that white, but I think last year hers was a little bit darker, or maybe Amelia's was lighter. But because, you know, those two were back and forth, first and second last year. And I was on the finish line, and I thought Sarah was in the lead, but then someone yelled out to me, "It's Sarah." So I started commentating that it was Sarah, but it was Amelia. And it's, you know, it's like sometimes you've got to this is with the suits, you know. In my role, I need to really look and go, okay, well, this athlete's sponsored by Canyon or Ventum or Trek, you know. But it's, when you start wearing different suits or similar colours, and if I can't see well, then I look like a complete nuffy. I get it wrong. But I knew
a few friends that were out on the course supporting did ask me what would I be wearing, and you said Sarah Crowley's suit. You did.
Oh, that's too funny. Hey, before I let you go, I'm just letting you know that we ran a poll to see if anyone picked you as the winner, and it's fair to say that you're a bit of a dark horse. Only 18% picked you for the win, and I call bullshit on 10% of those. I don't reckon I reckon they're just after the fact. But so I guess my question is, it's not that you're flying under the radar, but I think you're a bit more of the dark horse for the win. But now you've got a target on your back. How does that feel? You're going to be a different athlete in terms of how other people perceive you in your next race.
It won't change how I race.
Good answer.
I have a question, Steph, if you don't mind. So obviously now you know, like you swim, bike, and you run. Like, okay, Kona, if that's the next goal, what do you see? Any type of weakness in your racing, and if you do, where is it, or what type of plan that you will do between now and Kona, considering you're going to race some of the best females in the world?
Clearly the swim.
I didn't want to say it, but it's, you know, like, so that is predominantly where you'll put it.
There will be a lot of swimming. Yeah. Lots of swimming.
And has Cam got you on the straight arm regime?
Yes. Amelia and I have already swum this morning, so we've already been back in the water today.
Wow. How does it go with you That's interesting. All right, so I'm not letting you go just yet. So you've jumped in the water to go for a swim with your teammate who was the defending champ that you just beat. How did you approach that first conversation?
Oh, I just messaged her this morning. We're both staying in the same hotel, and said, "Do you want to go for a swim in the pool?" And she was, "Yeah, sure." And we just went and sat by the pool together for a while and relaxed, and then had a swim, and we were both freezing. Yeah, so I think it's like we're all really good friends, and we train together and support each other. And then when the gun goes, it's
game on.
Yeah, which we talk about a lot, Steph. I know you talk about a lot in your coverage, and I've talked about a lot as a commentator. Is that, and I mentioned it yesterday, is that it's one thing to be friends, but then you get there at race day, and you've got your plan, you stick to it, and you are competitors at the end of the day. Yeah, it's incredible. I had a moment yesterday with Amelia, where I interviewed her, and I knew we always wait until the athlete's ready. And if they're not ready, we won't do that race interview at the finish line. But I let her compose herself, and she was upset. I could see it, and I wanted to be really careful with how I approached the interview and how I talked. And in my head, this whole situation's been going on about Naomi Osaka and how she's been in the media and how she has, in ways refused to do the interviews in certain parts and why and this and that. So I wanted to be very careful with what I asked her. I believe that, this is a whole other conversation, so I won't go too far into it, but I do believe that athletes should, if they are capable, do an interview. And Amelia did. She was like, of course I will, but she was really emotional, and she got more emotional, so I stopped it when I needed to. But, you have to be careful. Disappointment's a big thing if you have a big goal, but yeah, it was a lovely moment. She gave us so much. She was so happy for you. She said that. It was, but she also would have had her moment too. So yeah, it's very interesting, that whole side of racing as well.
And it's interesting you mentioned Naomi Osaka. It's something that I wanted to discuss on today's show, but I think I'm going to run out of time. But maybe that's something that I can chat with you, because you work in the media world as well, Tammy, and have for many years. That might be something you and I can have maybe an open discussion about later on, because I would love to get your insights. I've got my thoughts as well. But let's definitely save that for another day. I know I keep saying this, but before I let you go, just last couple of things. Has anyone seen Chloe Lane today? Because Kylie, you had a phenomenal day. There's no doubt about it. But Chloe Lane also had a fantastic day out there as well. So I did want to give her a shout out. Have you spoken to her? How was she after the race or this morning?
I saw her last night. So we caught up after the race last night, and she was brilliant. She had a great day. I haven't seen her this morning or today as yet.
Yeah. And finally, what would you like to say to your thousands of fans out there? I mean,
new fans.
We had plenty of people watching our feed. I'm sure there would have been equally, if not maybe a few more, following Ironman's feed as well. So you've got, your social media is going to be going boop, 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 boop. Speaking of which, we need to get a photo to you so you can actually post something about your race. Anything you would like to sign off on and say to your fans and potential sponsors?
Thank you for all the messages over the last the last 12 hours or so, and for all the cheering and support out there on the course. And yeah, it's great. It's very encouraging, and I really enjoy that side of it, and keep the support coming.
Well, mate, huge congratulations again. Phenomenal effort. And we look forward to not just watching the next race, just watching your career continue to go the way it's going, because I can only just see more improvements. Like great racing, but I can see, especially with your swim, but
that was a bit cheeky.
A little bit. No.
It's correct though.
Yeah. I just only state facts. No. But obviously phenomenal racing, and we're excited to see what else you've got on top of yesterday. But bask in the glory that was the Ironman Asia Pac champs in Cairns yesterday. A huge congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, ladies, I will love you and leave you. I'm going to go on with the show. Thank you so much. I'll shoot you a text message later. Tammy and Kylie, let us know if you need any photos from yesterday, and we'll hook you up with our photographer so you can start, blowing your own trumpet out there. All right, team. See ya. Bye.
Bye.
All right, there you have it, folks. Kylie Simpson, she's on the quieter side of the professionals. What am I trying to say? She's a quieter athlete, but that might change in time and with new sponsors. Let's just I don't know. Let's wait and see. But a phenomenal race by her yesterday. I just want to throw up onto the screen her final times, and unfortunately, I haven't pre-programmed these, so it might not fit in there properly. So let's just go like that. Finish time of 9:06:35. And like I said, last year, she did a 9:27. So 21 minutes improvement on last year is fantastic. The swim. I feel like we're all talking about the run, like I say, but it was the swim that set her up for the big 19-minute deficit off the bike, and just watching her pick people off as she goes was fantastic. We joke, but Kylie mentioned this, she will be working on her swim, and as that slowly progresses as well, she will absolutely continue to be a force to reckon with. Over to the bike split, a 4:58.04 on the bike. And I always talk about this with Rinny. We always talk about her run, but back when she was 19 minutes down off the bike in Kona and ran herself to victory, the bike just never gets mentioned. She had a phenomenal bike, probably the best bike that she's ever had, which then put her in the right spot to be able to run 19 minutes faster than others. And that's a similar thing with Kylie this time. And because she was that further back, we didn't see her biking unfold on the day, and that's kind of the nature of iron distance reporting as well. It's really hard to go backwards and forwards with athletes to find out how they're going, but as we mentioned throughout the day, we always knew that she would throw down a fantastic run. And I think I've actually put in the wrong time there. I think it was 2:53:21, not 2:52. That's my bad for poor editing. I'm just going to double check that. It was 2:53:21, not 2:52:21. Regardless, that is some crazy running there by Kylie. All right, I'll be back with you in just a tick. We're going to head on over to Sid Slam, who's very excited about all of the racing and happenings over the weekend.
Okay, Sid Slam, what a weekend. So many races, so much action. No idea how I can contain my excitement into 2 minutes. And where do I start? But here goes. Ironman Cairns, blimey, simple, sensational. Kylie Simpson running a 2:52 to erase some 90-minute deficit off the bike, or from the swim and the bike, with Chloe Lane having an absolute stormer and leading for a lot of the race, with Amelia Watkinson in second. It all converged about 10k's to go, with Watkinson catching Lane, but Simpson caught them both at the same time, shot into the lead. She took the title, a new run course record as well, and a ticket to Kona. Watkinson was second, Chloe Lane finished in third. For more insights of how the race panned out, check out the Witsup coverage or my race report when it gets published. WTS leads. I lost my whole afternoon as I couldn't tear myself away from the coverage. In the debut in her short course racing, Lucy Charles-Barkley blew the field apart in the swim. She strung the women out, causing a break, 6 swimming out of the water. Lucy Charles-Barkley, Maya Kingma, Sophie Caldwell, Victoria Lopez, Taylor Spivey. The US race was on. A speedy T1 and a blast up the hill split the group into two trios. Limeth, Kingma and Caldwell, powerhouses on the bike, and then Spivey, LCB and Lopez behind. Duffy came out in the chase pack out of the water, wasn't hanging about, and rode off the front of that pack, bridging up to the Spivey group. This was a huge help for Spivey and Duffy together as they delivered on-the-job training to Lucy. To be fair, she held her own, probably helped by just a small group on the bike for her first race to navigate the corners and the technical elements. But Limeth, Kingma and Caldwell weren't hanging about and had a 2-minute lead into T2. There was no separating on them on the run until Caldwell just dropped off slightly, and it was then down to 2. It took the final descent in the last few hundred metres for Kingma to make a break and to run to the win her first WTS title. Learmonth returning from injury was impressive and exciting to watch as ever in second, and Caldwell gaining her first WTS podium in third. Duffy did what she did on the bike, onto the run, running off the front of the chase pack, putting the fastest split in to finish fourth. And for me, Lucy Charles-Barclay's run the most impressive, running away from Spivey, one of the best in the business, to finish fifth on debut. Spivey gave the US team selection another shout by finishing in sixth, but we shall wait and see on that one. But more races, and from France, it was the PTO-supported French Championships, which saw Manon Genet take the win ahead of Marjolaine Pierre in second, and I can't read my writing, Christelle Robin in third, I think. And in the US, another PTO-supported Juices Wild Enduro Festival, and a big shout out to Didi Griesbauer, not only because she's awesome, but because I am biased because she's a JD Crew team member, but she rocked the win in Arizona.
All right, there you go. Sid got a little bit tongue-tied with all of the epicness that was racing over the weekend, but it would be remiss of me not to follow up on the WTS Leeds race. Some very exciting outcomes and performances at that event. Lucy Charles-Barclay, at the moment, what is there anything she can't do? She got that at one end, going shorter, and then she's part of this sub 8 hour attempt that's going to happen next year as well. Just phenomenal. Jordan's just chimed in as well. How good was the Leeds race? So I actually haven't watched the race yet because I woke up to a plethora of messages from our Witsup group about what was happening during the race, and I guess, which is exciting during the race, but it's the aftermath, what's going to happen after that race in terms of Olympic selection we're looking at. And Jordan, I know that you're tuning in, just correct me if I'm wrong, but Team USA have already selected 2 athletes and they've got 1 spot left, and it looks like that spot is going to come down between Taylor Spivey and Katie Zafiris, and that is my goodness, that is a decision that I would not want to be on the panel making. And Jordan has just said, who should the US pick be? And it's a great question. I don't even want to answer it. This is, and especially as, you know, around World Championships and Olympics, emotions are heightened, particularly this Olympic year, because it's 5 years in the making, not 4. And athletes have spent an extra year on tender hooks waiting to find out if the Olympics are going to go ahead, if they're going to be selected on the team, when they're going to be selected on the team, because everything has had to change. So there's some heartbreaking decisions that need to be made. And Jordan has just said Spivey has beaten Katie soundly in the last 3 races. So purely based on that fact, it would be fair to assume that Team USA would choose Spivey over Katie Zafiris. And I love this comment that Carrots has just said 18 months ago, who would have seen a decision coming that would mean that Katie Zafiris would not be on Team USA and would not be one of the favourites for the gold medal. And this is what's super important to note, that an extra year is makes a huge difference in the terms of a sporting career. We've seen some people where it's helped them. They may have been injured leading into 2020, and then this has allowed some athletes to rehab that injury and then show up this year instead. It's the nature of the pandemic beast. It's the nature of sport. It's tough. It's heartbreaking. But that is the way it goes. Now, in saying all of that as well, I want to be super clear that Taylor Spivey is an incredible athlete and 100% deserves to be on that team as well. And all athletes, obviously, who are selected, obviously deserve to be on the team. It just, far out. It's, my goodness, tough call. Really, really tough call. And my heart goes out to those athletes who don't get selected on the team. And yeah, I hope they have got their close team unit around them to help them through, some of these tough decisions that are going to pop up throughout their career. Absolutely. Did you watch WTS Leeds? If you did, what was your favourite part of it? How was that hill? My goodness. It reminded me of the, what's that Red Bull race? Rach McBride has done it a few times, and I think they have even won it. It's a Red Bull race when they start running up this massive hill, and then it's like almost like a rope climb to the top. That's what that hill reminded me of it. That is hard when the lactic is burning in the legs, and you have to find something extra to get up that hill and across the finishing line. Jordan has just said we won't find out until June 16th. That is 9 long days, or probably 10 over there, isn't it? June 16th, which is our 17th. So it's 10 days away for Team USA. The Great Brits, actually I found out before that the Great Brits were, the 3 athletes were nominated for the team back in November 2020. But from what I hear, and again, someone correct me if I'm wrong, but from what I hear, that could potentially be changed. Like they could swap an athlete in and out if they decided to do so. I don't know if that's happening. That's just coming from a what if, and look at that person, and oh my goodness, what happens if Lucy Charles-Barclay could do this on the team and do that, and who knows? Anyway, it's exciting. Pam Goodley, unfortunately, caught only the last few minutes conflicted with morning workouts. That's whether people watched WTS Leeds. Like I say, I will go back and watch it afterwards. Now I want to can you guys see the results are active. How many, going back to Ironman Cairns, how many of the podium did you get right? No one got 3 out of 3, and I certainly didn't. I'd be very surprised if everyone got Kylie Simpson, Amelia Watkinson, and Chloe Lane on the podium. We've got 2 out of 3. 55% of people got 2 out of 3 correct for the podium in Cairns. 1 out of 3, 27% got 1 out of 3 right. And then there was 18% who got 0 right for the podium. Which, I mean, that's a good effort in itself, because there were only 9 women starting. So, I mean, that's pretty good odds. You're doing well if you got 0 right. Anyway, Carrots has just said if they didn't have that flexibility, it would be pretty poor selection protocol. You need the people on form. Oh yeah, absolutely. But imagine being told that you've been selected for the team and then told, actually, no, you're not. Heartbreaking. Pam has said, I've paid for the triathlon live, so also should watch the recording. You definitely should. From what I understand, it was super, super exciting to watch, and just based on the shitload of content that I've seen come out of that race, it sounded extremely exciting. Now, I did mention that I wanted to have a talk about Naomi Osaka and what's been happening in the world of sports media, but I'm going to shelve that discussion for a little bit later, because I do have lots of thoughts and comments about it, but we're running out of time here. This has been going for an hour. I do apologise. Before I let you all go and before I take off and get another coffee, I just wanted to give a massive shout out to everyone who was at Ironman Cairns, feeding me information from the race course that I could upload to our Instagram stories. Pretty much the second I found out that Melbourne was in lockdown and I couldn't get there, a group of people reached out and said, how can we help deliver information or update you from the race course? And well, I think it started off with like 3 people, and then there was people just messaging me randomly on Instagram. I'm like, can you text me this? So I ended up with like about 7 or 8 different people. But a massive shout out to Carrots. He comes up as James. This is this guy here. This is him. That's James Carrot. Are you a fireman? Is it your little fire? I don't know. No, you're like a Bob the Builder. Bob the Builder as a kid. We had Carrots on the back of a motorbike, taking photos all day and then sending us some video footage of the women's race as well. So massive shout out to him. Thank you so much. We also had Ash Thomas, Luke Alexander, Lucy Bowden, and then, the name escapes me because I only just met her yesterday via Instagram, but Renee, Kylie's roommate. I'm really sorry if I've just forgotten your name. It's Elise or something like that. I'm really, really sorry, and I can't get to my phone and figure it out. I think I covered it, everyone, but thank you. This is, once again, and we did this last year with a couple of races. It was the people getting together to give the other people what they want, which is information about the race and live updates. And I really, really appreciate all of your help out there to the whole crew. And I will definitely be relying on you again at other races throughout the year. That's about it for now. If you are not already a Witsup Patreon member, please consider doing so. It only costs $5 a month, which is about $7 in Australia. It helps. Having a membership helps us continue to do what we do, which is bring you all some fantastic content, live updates from races, podcasts, all of the things. So we'd really appreciate your support. Just head on over to Patreon. That's patreon.com/Witsup. Super easy. And then if you're anything like me and I've signed up for so many different memberships, it comes out of my bank account and I don't even realize. So there you go. That might be why I'm broke. Potentially. That makes it sound bad. Anyway, you know what I mean. We also have, if you are one of our Patreon members, not the $5 tier, but one of the next ones up, and we're going to be looking at rejigging all of this, you can go in the draw to win yourself a complimentary entry to Ironman Australia. So keep an eye out on socials over the next couple of days and I'll be updating you about that. But you have to be a Patreon member to be a part of the draw to win a complimentary entry for Ironman Australia and other races across the Asia Pacific region. I want to just go back to someone, the Cairns, and I'm not too sure, that might be Anne. The Cairns race is such a great example about why triathlon is such an awesome sport. Someone last out of the water won the race. And I was actually having a discussion on Instagram with Goofy Sean Clancy up in Queensland. When was the last time someone did an hour and 9 or above and go and win a full iron distance? And I just started looking back through the Kona archives, which I didn't expect that to happen. But, you know, you go all the way back to when Kona first started. But at 109 these days, you're pretty hard pressed to be winning an iron distance race with that swim. And that's no disrespect to Kylie, obviously. That is actually mad respect for her bike run. That just shows how good her bike run was. Okay, I will always find a way to continue chatting, strangely enough, but I'm at 59 minutes and 15 seconds and I'm going to go under the 1 hour marker. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will see you all here next week. Thank you to Kylie Simpson and Tammy Barker for joining me, and I'll chat to you guys next week. Peace out and outro.